Welcome to Barb's Craft Room, and I want to show you something today that I tried once before, and I put the books that I made on, I don't know, on a reel or something. Well, they sold. Well, they were so cute, and I thought I would make a few more. And just in case you want to learn how to do it, you can watch my video. So I have parchment paper, and what I'm going to do with the parchment paper is I'm just going to protect my table with the parchment paper because I'm going to use Mod Podge. So I just need a little piece, just enough to protect my surface here. Okay, so I have a surface. I have this fabric right here, and I know that some of us have fabrics and that we just don't like them. They're boring. They're ugly. So what you can do with this fabric is you can change it. Believe it or not, you can change your fabric. And let me show you how. I'm going to cut a piece that's about, let's see. I'm going to cut a piece that's about 6 inches wide. I'm going to cut it a little bit more than 6 inches just in case it rips crooked. Okay, 6 inches wide. And I'm going to rip it actually. Put a little snip there and we will tear it. This is a piece of fabric that I got at Hobby Lobby. There's a quilting section there. And you should just go get you some. So we have now 6 inches, and you want it maybe around 12 inches long. So cut it at 12 and a half. Not cut it, but tear it. The other way was on the actual way to tear it. This one, I'm not allowing me to tear it, but it needs to be torn. There we go. So we have 6 inches by 12 inches, or thereabout. Now I have the right side of it up. If you don't like the strings, cut the strings off. If you don't cut them off, they have a tendency to get on the fabric and underneath what we're going to do, and it might cause a ripple effect. But anyway, I don't know if you can see this cloth very well, but it's quite boring. It has some tan stripes in it. Then I have some napkins here. These napkins, I've already separated them. So they were 2 or 3 ply, and now they are just 1 ply. I separated them to 1 ply so that I could use them. And this, oh my goodness, I think I will use this very first napkin because that's beautiful. I separate my napkins and I put them in a folder so that when I want to use them, they're readily available. I don't have to sit there and try to peel them apart, but these are all the 1 ply ones. And I'm going to only need half of this. So I'm going to cut on the fold this napkin in half. And I'm cutting it because if you tear it, it might get funky. You know, might tear crooked or whatever. And I want to use. Now, the last one I did I think if you want to, you could use a fancy scissor. Let's try that. I have a pinking shears. I'm going to pinking shear the edge off real quick. I'm standing up and doing this, so if my head, I want to be able to see it straight. Standing up just works better. Pinking shears give a really cool edge. You don't need to cut off much. Just enough. Well, just enough to give that edge. But we will need to cut it. I'm going to cut it on all three of, well, just don't cut it down the middle. Just want to cut it along the edge. I just want to give it that pinking shear look, zigzag or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure somebody else has done what I'm about to show you, but I don't know. Wipe off my, shake my fabric, drop it all on the floor, make it clean again. There we go. Okay, so now I have my fabric ready to roll. And you see it is a little bit longer than this fabric. So I'm going to have to cut off a little bit more. Just a little bit more. I'll fold it in half so I can see how much difference. Excuse me. I had a tickle in my throat. Let's cut a little bit more off of here. I'm going for about 1/4 inch this time. All right, let's try that. So my fabric is going to be right side up, and my napkin is also going to be right side up. Oh yeah, much better. And you see on here, if I don't know if you can see, but there's still a little bit of fabric here, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine with me. Now I'm going to take my Mod Podge, and I'm taking just a children's paintbrush, because that's what I have. And we are going to paint this fabric. We're painting it with Mod Podge. You want to put enough Mod Podge on it, so saturate it. Saturating it will give it the texture that I'm looking for. I'm wearing these gloves today, not because they look pretty, but because my hands, I have arthritis so bad, and the weather has kind of been gloomy and rainy. And I don't know if you have arthritis or not, but gloomy and rainy weather causes arthritis to be painful. So my hands hurt today. And with these gloves, they don't hurt as bad. They still hurt. I am kind of getting old. I don't like to admit it, but my body reminds me every day. Oh, hey, you're too old for that. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I do what I want to do, and I say, well, I guess my body was right. It was too old to do that. Saturate your fabric. And I can see where I've put this, even if you don't make it all the way to the edge. If you do, the whole fabric will have the texture. If you don't, you might be able to cut it off. But this fabric is now highly saturated. I have something there. No lumps. No lumpies. Okay. Then I'm going to take my napkin, strings be gone. Okay, it's highly saturated now. Very, very wet. Okay, I'm going to take this really pretty napkin and I'm going to carefully lay it on my fabric. You can take a bone folder and you can get it pretty smooth. You can. And because the fabric is so saturated, it already sucks up the napkin so well. Then we're going to take some more Mod Podge. And when you do this, though, do it ever, ever so gently so that you do not tear your napkin. Because, you know, napkins, once they're wet, they tear really easy. I'm doing it very gently. And you can see the saturation of the napkin. It might wrinkle. That's okay with me. Gives it more texture when it's dry. And look at that, it's beautiful. I really like this napkin. Make sure you get along the edges. I'm running out of Mod Podge. I'm going to have to buy me some more. It's at the bottom to where the gets kind of lumpy. Don't want that lumpy stuff in there. Ugh. And then when you're done with adding your Mod Podge, you will want it to dry completely. Completely. And I leave mine pretty much on this. It will peel off. You can remove it. You can lift it up. It will remove from the parchment paper anyway, but if you want to remove it and replace it. And then just lay it on the floor somewhere. I'm going to lay mine on the floor in an area where I won't step on it. There you go. And when it is completely dry, I have made several other ones over here. It has, you can't even really see the fabric. This is the fabric underneath, which was pretty by itself. But you can kind of see that fabric underneath. If you get a clearer kind of napkin, the underneath fabric will come through, which will also be pretty, but it's real pliable. Makes a really lovely, small, handheld journal cover. If you want to do a full size, you can. I have this one also. What else you can do to this, which I did on my other ones, but I'm not really a person that sews. So. I have a sewing machine, and I tried to sew this. You can tell that I tried to sew it here. But in doing so, the underneath of it, like the bobbin was really loose. It was horrible. And I don't know what I'm doing with the sewing machine. I really don't. So you don't have to sew it if you don't want to. But it could give it a really cool appearance to take the sewing machine and stitch it along the edge, a zigzag stitch or something pretty cool that you think would be lovely. And then you have this little booklet. The papers to fit inside of this, I just used regular copy paper, and you can tea dye them if you want, or coffee stain them, or you can leave them plain. It's up to you. And they can be stitched in there. Now, when you stitch in, okay, let me go backwards here. This is I cut it 12.5, and it's by 6. Your regular copy paper is 8.5 by 11. So if you cut it the long way I cut these 11 inches going down here. The 8.5 was across the top, and I cut it at 5 3/4 from off of the 8.5. The 11 I kept. So 5 3/4 by 11. That, when you fold those in half, then that would give you still a little bit on your edge. Well, if you don't like the edge and you can't sew it, you can take that pinking shear, which is why I did the pinking shear on the other one, and you can just cut the edge off with a pinking shear. And now you know you're cutting fabric, so it will look pretty cool. And it'll give a different edge to your, I mean, I do like the rough edges that's on here with the napkin. I think that's pretty cool. But if you don't like them and you want them a little nicer, I like the bee. So let's see what that does. It gives a much better width, length. So sewing it in there would be fine. And if I wanted to, I could trim the whole edge around it with pinking shears. Now, I want to give it the look like it's sewed, but because I'm not a sewer, I do have these precision pins, and I haven't done this one before, but I'm going to try it. Why not, right? Why not try it? So let's see where I go. I have a line right here, and I'm going to sew it. Or it's going to look like I sewed it. And I'm going to turn it around and do the same thing. I can do it on the length also. And it'll have the appearance of being sewed without being sewed. Which would be really nice if I had a sewing machine. I mean, I have a sewing machine. If I knew what I was doing on the sewing machine, that would be really good. I just don't. I am very, very... I say that, you know, but yet when I was young, and I mean really young, I was in my 20s, 20, not even 30 yet, I sewed everything for my newborn baby. I sewed the crib sheets and the bumper cover and curtains. Probably the only reason why I could do that, it was probably all straight lines. Yeah, that's probably true. All straight lines. This is supposed to be a straight line. But if it turns out that it isn't, no harm done. Not to me anyway. It'll still be pretty cool. It'll still look cool to me. So here's the appearance of being sewed. Probably smaller stitches would be what the sewing machine would do. No? Now it looks sewed. Like that. And it's so pliable. It feels so nice on your hand. It's, you could do just about, I mean, just leaving it like this is pretty, you know. And on these, I didn't tea stain them, but I have a trick to tea stain them anyway. You can take a spray bottle, and your spray bottle would have 2/3 of alcohol, and take some coffee, instant coffee grounds and water, and create yourself a spray that is coffee and alcohol. I have 2 spray bottles that are coffee and alcohol. My coffee and alcohol have been sitting here for a while, and the reason why you use alcohol is so that it doesn't get rancid, doesn't start smelling, doesn't get moldy. This one has chunky coffee in it, so when I spray it, sometimes it comes out chunky coffee. But you can tea dye or coffee dye your papers easily just by spraying this mixture on your papers. Simple as that. You didn't have to soak it in any kind of pan. You didn't have to put it in the oven. You just have to let these dry before you sew them into your signature. So if you did this ahead of time, and you get a pattern however you spray. See, there's some of the chunky tea, and this one is the same thing. You just buy the little cheap spray bottles at Walmart or Kmart or Target, and because it's alcohol, they will dry quickly, and it's on both sides. They will dry quickly, and you will have your pages for your book. So that's my tip for the day on how you can make a cover, some pretty tea-dyed paper real easily, and they will fit nicely inside your book. Stitch them in there, and you have yourself a really cute handheld journal. I hope you've enjoyed this technique and try it for yourself. And if you do, I would love to see what you create. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.